This is not a glitch in the matrix or some freaking magic. We're going to make this old school desktop one retro emulation monster. Let's go. €75 back in today, and I just use it for playing some old games. But did you know you can turn this thing into a retro emulation monster? Absolutely. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So in this video, we're going to do some pretty damn awesome stuff. So when it comes to emulation, we're having so many ways that we can play nowadays. And this is another way. So basically this device itself, it's not something that is more like a beefy system like an AMD Ryzen. But this is like a really cheap device. They're using these things like Office or just at home for browsing the internet. But you can make this thing a really cool piece of hardware. Simply because if you're looking at the specification list, it's not super beefy, but it got some interesting specs. But with Bodacera we can go so many routes. To begin with, we can use an external hard drive. This is 2.5 inch, but also you can use a 3.5. Then we're having the option, of course, to use an internal hard drive, but the downside to this is that you need to remove the original one. Or you can use a dual boot, of course, but with this product that we're going to review today, that is not possible. And thumb drive, these things are getting really cheap and really small, so this can be also a really great option. But with this will be a problem. I will show you why. And of course we're going to get an SD card. You can just slap it in. If your system can boot up from an SD card, then we have the option to do that too. Alright guys, so this is the specifications list. And yeah, it's an i3 model, but it is a very old one. I upgraded the RAM with 4 GB, doesn't really matter for the retro emulation, but normally it comes with 4 GB. It has an Intel HD graphics inside, and I'm using the 2 TB Western Digital Blue 2.5 inch hard disk. Well, let's take a close look at the front side of the system itself. We're going to get 2 USB connections, the on-off switch, and if you have the possibility to boot from a very big SD card, you can just plug it in like this, leave the original disk in and have a dual boot. And of course, when you're going to get yourself a very fast SD card, we still have the options to play like this. But let's take a closer look at the back. So at the back we're going to get a 2-pin connection for powering, so we don't need an external adapter. Then we're going to get the fan for keeping it cool, a DVI connection over here. Then we're having a lot of USB ports, only 2 though. Ethernet connection, RG45, HDMI out and the audio out. I really love the plug and play solution when it comes to the hard drive, but sadly this thing is 3.0. I want to maintain just a lot of speed. If you don't have this, especially with this device, there is no 3.0 port. So what we're going to use the internal hard drive. It's going to be in 2 TB Western Digital Blue, so we still have a lot of speed. So let's plug it in and let's configure Bodacera. But swapping the disk with this system is just really easy peasy, and the reason why is very simple. There is a way to slide this thing open. There is a way. There is the way. I was searching for it. The only thing that we need to do is remove the bottom plate. Then remove only a couple of screws there, there, there and there, and we can lift open the plastic EO shielding. So that's what we're going to do. 4 screws needs to be removed. We can replace the original 2.5 drive. I know for a fact there is a 60 GB SSD inside the machine. If you want to slap an SSD in it, it's still at the making this video quite expensive, especially when you're going to get a very big disk. Like the 250 GB, they are not really expensive, but I think that we just need more space. So let's lift it up. Of course, all the freaking screws fell off. And there we're having the mini machine. We can also replace the RAM if you want to, but there is more than enough for now. So the only thing that we need to do is slide it out. There's no screws whatsoever. Of course, I always want to film freaking things and never works out. Ah! Alright, so what I said the first time, sliding it out. And I'm going to need the brackets. Get myself the hard drive. The reason why, because I want to have a lot of storage capacity, and this is just a very cheap way to go, especially when you're looking into the 2.5 inch drives at the moment. Okay, so let's click it in. Always like filming and putting it in. Don't you love it when everything comes together? Yeah. That's it. Hard drive has been installed. We're going to put the EO shielding back on, plastics, and we're going to boot it up. That's it. When powering on the device itself, it will boot up straight into Battleshira. No dual boot needed because there's only one drive at the moment assembled inside this mini PC. Let's see how far we can push this device. Okay, the system has been booted up, but we need to reconfigure my new controller. So let's plug it in. If everything goes like it should be, we're going to get the configuration input. Then we're going to press a button on the controller, entering the configuration menu. D-pad, everything needs to be set like you want to be. Alright, so this is a little bit strange. It doesn't recognize the full potential of my controller. That can be happening, but we're not going to bother with that at the moment. Set a hotkey so we can go back to menu, and that's it. And you're ready to go to play some games. Battleshira gives us the options to emulate so much different stuff. From old school 8-bit, Atari, you name it. But what I'm mostly interested in, can we play Sega Dreamcast? Can we play like the higher end system where we normally don't need to spend so much money on to buying a product? And that is the question, can we run a lot of stuff on this old school i3 model? Of course, if you're going to get yourself the different shipped version with an i5 or maybe an i7 in it with a beefy specs or maybe better CPU and GPU will get better performance. But I just wanted to check out what can we do with a cheap device like this, and is it possible to emulate the high-end stuff that we couldn't do with, let's say, a cheap Super Console X device. Okay, so let's start with N64, and the reason why with Cruise in the USA, because this game doesn't run very well on the Pi 4 and Super Console X systems. Okay, so let's see if it's going to be stuttering. So far so good. But you can see this game runs pretty good. Or pretty good. I can say it works flawlessly. Besides my driving skills, because that is freaking horrible. Okay, so let's continue and let's see how far we can push this old school mini PC. What I also like, by the way, about this mini PC, it looks kinda like a game system. It's very compact, it weighs quite a lot, but overall, the performance are looking promising. Okay, so this is a system that doesn't run very well on the Super Console X. We're talking about, let's say, a $90 product. Most of the time these Chinese Android boxes are running with a very cheap S905 chipset. But somehow it keeps freaking freezing. Next up, Sega Dreamcast. And let's see with Dead Alive 2 if this game can be played on a cheap box. Oh boy, best soundtracks ever for a fighting game. But so far, no weird stuff going on. That's the fact that I'm going to get my ass kicked. Just lay down. Okay, I wanted to try out Wipeout to begin with, and the speed itself is very good, but sadly what you can see, like, it's all glitching out. But I'm not giving up. Let's see if we can try another game and see how the performance are with this one. Okay, so let's try another game. It's highly possible that this is going to be an unsolvable problem, and that is the thing that we need to deal with, that PlayStation Portable will not run perfectly on this. You can see it's still glitching out. Quite a shame. Okay, so let's see how this is running. I don't know if you're noticing it, but it's glitching out. Same problem that it did before. The glitches are not that horrible like with the previous game. But I find it quite fascinating to see that a GameCube game is running just fine on normal speed. But I don't know if you can hear it, but I think this is just something this device can't handle. PlayStation 2 is too much to ask for the system. Take consideration it's a cheap piece of hardware, but it was just fun to try it out. PlayStation 2 is a no-go. And the GameCube, I think, like also the same story. Some games will run just fine, but some games are just pushing it too far. Okay, so next up, Sega Saturn. I know a lot of people asking to see if it emulates, and surprisingly the two-dimensional games are running very well. I've tried it out on, let's say, devices that had less power, and you can see it struggles, but the i3 is more than enough to get it running. And consider when you're going to get a better and faster system, it's going to give you even some more and better performance. But then it's the question, how will it run with three-dimensional games of Sega Saturn? So this is the reason why I love to do multiple game testing. Mainly I try to keep it with one, sometimes two, but the reason I tested two, because see like with three-dimensional games, now we're going to get some issues. You can hear like the audio stuttering, we're going to get some FPS dips, and that makes this game, in my opinion, not really playable. And it's really slowing down. Slow motion fighting. Okay guys, so this is what we're going to get with this mini PC. Take consideration, if you're going to get yourself one with better specifications, we're going to get also like better performance. Yep, I know, I just needed to point it out. It's a Captain Obvious moment. But things is more like, I bought this thing for such a small amount of money. That's the reason I wanted to check it out. If you can pick these things up and you can slap in an arcade machine, you can do so much great things with this. Or you're just going to use it like in game system, you can still play a lot of awesome things. I want to thank you for watching, consider subscribing, hit the little bell, become one of the Wicked family, and I will see you in the next video.